Welcome everybody, it's Ben Reedy here from MBA News Australia. I'm joined today by Dr Nicole Hartley, who is Associate Professor at the University of Queensland Business School and also the Director of the MBA program. Welcome, Nicole.
Thanks so much, Ben.
We wanted to have a little bit of a chat today about the UQ Business School's new Accelerate Your Career program. But first, I just wanted to have a quick chat around the executive employment market. It's obviously been a year of change in many sectors, not the least of which is executive employment. Tell me a little bit about some of the changes that you're seeing, that you're discussing with employers out in the market.
Absolutely, Ben. I mean, there's a perfect storm happening out there for this sector in particular. We see from the impact of the pandemics as well as, increased digitalisation across different sectors. So, ultimately new jobs are opening up, new opportunities for organisations, new ways of doing businesses. So there's a lot of corporate sectors out there, or corporate organisations and sectors out there that are actually looking at ways in which they can lead differently through all of this disruption that's happening. So there's new opportunities in that managerial space within existing corporations. Obviously, at the same time, there's lots of opportunities for new organisations to come to the fore and new ventures to come to the fore. So there's lots of opportunities there for people in the startup space. In the startup space, the scalability of startups right now, particularly around things such as fintech, health tech, etc., is just exponential.
Yeah, and obviously managing change has been a huge issue over the last 12 months as businesses deal with lockdowns, changed marketplaces, all those sorts of things. So the ability to manage change is becoming a huge skill as well, and will continue to be in the future, won't it?
Absolutely. This whole managing through disruption at all levels, from the remote teams through to how do you inspire and get people on board with new digitalisation. It's in a totality state.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about this Accelerate Your Career program. Obviously, the UQ MBA is very highly ranked, getting a lot of students through there. The core program is, really extensive, but you've introduced this Accelerate Your Career program. Tell us a little bit about how that came about and what you're trying to achieve with it.
Absolutely. So, Ben, we're really, really highly dedicated to ensuring that we're not only providing our candidates with the technical skills that they need to do well in the leadership positions, but that they have the opportunities afforded to them. And a part of that is offering them access to a lifelong access, I should say, to our professional careers and development team. And I think in response to what we've seen in the marketplace over the last 12 to 24 months, the careers team were really sort of thinking, there's a lot of ways in which people can be really paralysed around what to do next in their career. Where do they look for these new career opportunities? And even when they're looking in the marketplace, with the hybridisation of different roles out there, it's often tricky to really examine where they might be best placed in this next career transition. And sometimes people are actually pushed into that next career transition, as we've seen through the pandemic. So taking away that crisis mentality around that, and ensuring that you're very strategic in what that next transition looks like for you. And there's lots of different types of transition. There's a transition within your own organisation. There's transitions into similar roles outside of your organisation, outward transitions into other roles and organisations. But to be strategic around that and to offer our candidates as well as our alumni the best processes to really make that transition smooth for them. So last year we formulated this program and we ran it for the first time, and we've reframed and refocused the program. We're offering it again this year, hopefully once or twice a year now, moving forward, because we've got such a good response from this last year involvement.
Yeah, you mentioned using the Accelerate Your Career program to transition your career. We're seeing more and more people start the MBA program as sort of the first step as they try and transition either into a new career, a new field, a new sector, or go into their own business. People are using that MBA to really transition their career, aren't they now?
Absolutely. So many more people are coming into the program. I think we're up to about 75 to 82% of our candidates now are really thinking about some form of transition. And sometimes they're coming in not even knowing what that is. There's just this impetus for change, something else that they want to be able to do and contribute. And that may actually augment then into their own venture at the end of the program or just outside of the program. Or it may be that they're just looking for some other industry to be involved in and making an impact in a different locale. But yeah, lots more people looking at transition of some sort through these types of programs.
Yeah, and when you talk about transition, it's not just changing sector, is it? It may be going from working in a big business to starting a startup, or going from a small family business to trying to transition into a larger company. There's all sorts of different career transitions available to people, isn't there?
Yeah, there absolutely is. We've got them, the vertical transitions within your own, within other organisations with similar roles, there's outward transitions into new roles within new organisations and new industries, and then there's a new venture space, which is just booming. And I think there's lots more people, even if they're retaining some sort of corporate position at this moment, they're also testing the water to what that new venture space would look like. As such, it's a perfect storm at the moment for new idea generation, as we're seeing so much disruption in the marketplace.
Yeah, and you also mentioned the program is a way of trying to avoid that sort of crisis management approach to your career, where something comes up and all of a sudden you're scrambling to try and find out, where do I go next? Going through the program gives people not just the confidence, but also the practical skills to be able to have more control over where they're taking their career. Is that what it's about, delivering more control?
Oh, absolutely. And it's just control. It's more about, having, what are the tool sets? What is the toolkit, and what's the mindset that I need to do this? Because while you're doing this, you're obviously operating in a space where you've got your own, you've got everything else going on for you, and whether that's your study and your work and your family and everything else. So you often can't really give yourself free time to kind of get up to speed with what's the best approach here. So something like our Accelerate Your Career program actually has been created by our team based on evidence, based on what works in helping people best with their career transition. And it's everything, and it moves through the whole cycle of it. So looking at how to best plan, right from when you're actually first doing that self-awareness about what it is that you want to be looking for in this space, or what does your career mean to you? What's your value proposition for your career moving forward? Through to what is that career compatibility analysis that you undertake to ensure that you're making good decisions about where you might next go, through to actually being application ready. So that's kind of giving you a mindset at the front, and then the toolkit at the end to actually make that actionable.
Yeah, I suppose one of the differences UQ can offer is that this is not just about downloading a new CV template, a template for your CV, and coming up with some buzzwords. There's some real science and evidence behind the recommendations that you're putting to people.
Absolutely. So yeah, as I said, there's a tool, a sort of a mindset framework that you go through, and that's all based very much on evidence-based research that's out there. So there's videos that you watch, there's activities you engage with, there's reflection pieces that you engage with, and that's all based on evidence. And then there's the toolkits. So we do use an AI-generated toolkit to help you also. And then you have that supplemented with a one-on-one approach where you've got a career counselor, a career guidance person sitting there with you to work you through that actual implementation stage. So it's a pretty powerful program.
Yeah. And when do you recommend people do it? Is it sort of something they should do at the start of their MBA, mid-MBA, after they've finished? Who's the program best suited for, do you think?
That's a really good question, Ben, because often a lot of people see it as, I'll do the study and then I'll do the doing. I'll do the career focused exercise at the end. I encourage as many people as possible. If you've thought about doing an MBA, you're thinking about a career transition, or you're thinking about what's next. And I think if you even do this program a couple of times, because it's free for our MBA students, it's free for our alumni, so they can come back and they can, be repeat offenders with the program, come and get what they need out of the program when they need it. So it's whether you're thinking about, I don't know where my next career transition is, the program can help with that. If you're even thinking about, I kind of know where it is, but I just want validation around it, obviously can help with that. And if you're just needing the tools to get to those job interviews and doing the doing, it can definitely help with that also. So it's throughout your whole entire program, right from when you're enrolled right through to our alumni as well.
Yeah, that brings me to probably a bigger question, which isn't specific to Accelerate Your Career program. One of the questions we get a lot of MBA news is when is the best time to do an MBA? When do you sort of, if you're talking to potential students, it's it's a how long is a piece of string question, but when do you suggest people think about doing an MBA?
Look, I think an MBA is great when you're feeling, there's a couple of things that happen for people, I think, with MBAs. It's really where they're feeling like, okay, I've reached a saturation point where I am, and I want help looking at what that next career advancement may look like. And when you're thinking about that, you might be thinking about that within your organisation, and that might change for you throughout your MBA, or even over the coming years while you're doing your MBA, because new opportunities open up. So, if you're not sure what that next step is, but you want to take it, great. if you know what that next step is, and it's a leadership and it's a higher level leadership role, for when we're looking at leadership in this space right now, in the market that we have right now, it's really about having compassionate, caring, transparent leaders that are very adaptable to ambiguity and disruption. And if you're not feeling confident in that space, then that's what the MBA can provide for you. It's a space in which you're learning all the tools, models, frameworks that are going to help you deal with ambiguity, with disruption, etc. Give you the confidence to make really good decisions in an unknown kind of framework. So I always say, there's never not a good time to do an MBA, quite honestly, because it's great for your confidence. It's great for giving you the skills that you need to be a really good leader. And the most important thing is it gives you a really strong network that you can just keep leveraging throughout your various career transitions that are going to happen beyond an MBA.
Yeah, and obviously COVID's thrown a few spanners in the works in terms of how you deliver the MBA program over the last 12 months. How has sort of UQ adapted to that, and how are you seeing sort of applications at the moment? There's still plenty of people wanting to do an MBA?
Yeah, there is, Ben, absolutely. We saw a bit of a spike in the middle of last year for full-time MBAs in particular, and that was reflective of the marketplace. Either people who were forced out of their careers, looking for what that next opportunity is, or just really being very strategic about assessing, I need to be proactive about what this next thing is, because I'm not sure, what the future holds within my current career. So we've seen that, and that's kind of stayed steady through into this year. The great thing, and I hate to put great and pandemic in the same word, but the great thing about the pandemic is that it has allowed us to be more reactive around how we actually deliver the program. So, we have a strong reputation and a strong demand by our market to be a face-to-face program. But outside of that, we've been able to now synchronously actually offer all of our classes, regardless of whether they're the week-long intensives, the weekends, the at-night classes, all simultaneously online and in the classroom. And that allows a level of flexibility for our students now, that if they are stuck interstate for COVID reasons or for work reasons, or if they're still overseas, which some of them are, if they're maybe at home looking after children at some stage, or if they need to be somewhere else, they can still engage with their MBA learnings and having that same dynamic conversation going on in the classroom as that they would experience in person. And we're seeing that's working for some of our cohort. We still have most of the people in the classroom because they want to be together and debating and having that interaction in the classroom. But you're not missing out on that in our experience now when we've got this hybrid approach.
Yeah, and that's obviously the future of a lot of these MBA programs, is that sort of hybrid delivery model, isn't it?
I think so. I think there's different MBA models for different people too. Some people don't want that experience, and they would rather not do that. And so there'll be online opportunities for them to engage in that. Other people definitely want to be in the classroom, and they want that face-to-face interaction and that ability to network and make those connections, and there's programs for that. But I think if you're being responsive to what people's demands are at a personal level now, and what COVID might do for us moving forward, and ongoing pandemics perhaps, we have the opportunities for people to be flexible in studying this.
Yeah. So we'll just finish with a quick question on Accelerate Your program. Who's actually available for it? Who can sign up for it, and how often do you offer it?
Oh, we'd love to offer it to everybody, but we can't at the moment. So we're offering it to all of our current MBA students. So anyone who's just started the program, right through to be in the program for a couple of years, through to all of our alums out there. We have thousands and thousands of alums around globally, as well as here in Australia. And this is an online, on-demand program. So anybody, whether you're working full-time, whether you're overseas, whether you're interstate, you can connect with the program, study it at your own time, and have the touch points that you need to move through the program along the way.
Excellent. Thanks for that, Nicole. Congratulations again on a great program over there at UQ. Hopefully we'll be talking to you again in the future.
Lovely to talk to you, Ben. Thank you so much.
Nicole.